Hello and welcome back to Grown Ass Stuttering. I am Jacqueline at Jacqueline Joyce on every social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, blah 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 blah, all of them. This particular video is about stuttering, so if you do not watch for my stuttering content, you can skip on past and watch something else of mine, or you can keep on. I want to talk about is the shame that comes along with being someone who stutters. I'm going to rehash a bit of my stutter story so that you guys can see like where I started and then where I am now. It's going to be a journey, so this is a bit of a long video, so sit back, buckle in, stay tuned. Now, I began stuttering at a very young age. I was maybe 3. I didn't realize that I actually stuttered till I was about 5. One of my very first moments of shame would be when I was in preschool and my teacher pulled me aside to do a coloring project because I was a coloring in the lines as mofo. I was coloring in the lines at a very young age and I was making my shit look real good. But while coloring, I realized that I had to pee, but I told myself, I was like, just finish this project and then you can go use the restroom. And so I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited, and as soon as I finished, I stood up and I said, I'm done. May I go to the and then psst, pee went everywhere. And to make matters worse, I was a very prideful kid. Like, all of these other kids had peed on themselves all the time, and they always had to use their extra pairs of clothes that were kept in the cubby, and my original pair of clothes that were brought in at the very beginning of the school year were still there, and I was very proud of that. And all the other kids peed on themselves all the time and always had to use their extra change of clothes from their cubby, but not me. Not good old hold that shit in Jacqueline until that day. That day, they took out my extra pair of clothes from the cubby to put on me, and my cubby was empty. I was so ashamed. And of course, I attributed that shame to my stuttering. And that's literally the first moment that I remember being ashamed of stuttering. I was going through it. Like, I was literally having like a crisis inside of my little baby brain. My little baby mind was like, I am not a human anymore. I am less than sad. Which just kind of proves that this shit runs deep. It really, really does. Psychologically, it runs very deep. So now we're gonna go up a few years. I had a little bit of therapy here and there, but nothing life-changing or groundbreaking for me. But then at 13, I went to my very first stuttering convention. And every time I saw someone stutter, I just felt bad. I cringed while watching them, knowing how stuttering made me feel, and I guess assuming that stuttering felt the same way for them. And after that day, I completely steered clear of stuttering, the word stutter, talking about stuttering groups. It was not for me. I purposely avoided talking about it. I didn't go to therapy, groups, nothing that dealt with being in a room with other people who stuttered. And this was in high school when my stutter was its most severe. The amount of tension that I had while speaking, the amount of tension that I had while stuttering was so extreme that one time I actually chipped my tooth while stuttering from having so much tension. It's insane. And I didn't deal with my stutter again until I decided to change my major to theater my junior year in college. The reason I changed my major my junior year in college, which was just ridiculous. I don't even know why I did that. And in order to still complete in 4 years, which I did, I had to take 23 credits a semester. Insanity. But I did it. With A's. I knew I had to deal with this being my speech. And if I wanted to be on stage, I had to. So I saw a hypnotherapist, a past life regressionist, and I paid thousands upon thousands to go to a therapy clinic that basically said that they would give me the tools to make my stutter go away. Now, as you guys can see, during this time of my life, I only wanted to deal with my speech if there was some sort of magic pill or like a magic way that people could make it disappear. That didn't happen. So I kept dodging it until I got into grad school, and I began volunteering at a theater for children who stutter in New York. Because it seemed like the right thing to do, right? I stutter, I'm in New York in school for acting. This is a theater for children who stutter, this is something I should do. While volunteering is actually when I began to learn the ideas of acceptance. And that was the first time I heard of voluntary stuttering, which is basically stuttering on purpose, and it's sort of a thing that you do to keep yourself from not stuttering. Like, a lot of what stutterers do is they fight their stutter, and so in order to keep it going, you stutter on purpose. And while volunteering at the theater, you know, I was very comfortable with the children stuttering. That was fine. It was even empowering somewhat, seeing these kids do what I wish I would have done as a child. Like, I wanted them to win. But me stuttering as an adult, it felt like a flaw. Story time. I remember one time we were rehearsing for a play, and one of the kids went home early, and they asked me to stand in and read his lines. And I said so sincerely, I was like, but I stutter. And the other volunteer said, so? I still opted out of reading his lines because I was so ashamed to stutter in front of these people. Now let me rehash that. I, Jacqueline, a stutterer, was ashamed to stutter in front of kids who stuttered while rehearsing a play about stuttering for stutterers in front of stutterers while being an actor in grad school for acting. This shit runs deep. It is in our psyche. It's both psychological and neurological. It plays a hand on both sides, guys. That's how ashamed I was. I can honestly say that I hated myself for my speech because I thought that I could be such a better person without it. I could be so much more capable. I could get so much more done. I could be a force to reckon with if I didn't stutter. Like, it got to a point where I felt that God was punishing me for something. I didn't know what. And the whole thing about God punishing you and whatnot, I have more to talk about that because a lot of my shame also came from the church. But that's another video, so stay tuned. Literally everything up until that point had taught me that stuttering was bad, and it had a finite emotion attached to it, and that was that I shouldn't speak because no matter how important what I have to say is, the way that I say it is intolerable. By the time I graduated grad school, which, if I'm honest, I will say I went to grad school as a safety net. I knew school, I knew I could be successful in school. I didn't know if I could be successful in the real world, and there was no one for me to look up to know if I could. I took on a shit ton of debt out of fear so that I could stay in an environment that was comfortable to me, and I regret the hell out of it, but that's life. Shame will make you do a lot of things that you don't necessarily have to do or need to do, but you live and you learn, you know? Now, I began practicing the notion of self-acceptance when I started going to AIS, which is the American Institute for Stuttering, located in New York City, which was after graduation. So all through grad school, I was still trying to figure out how to hide my stutter, trying to, like, it was nuts. It was nuts. But once I got to AIS, they kind of explained the physiological aspect of stuttering combined with the physical difficulty and the neurological component that comes with it also. And I even learned like a little bit of the science. Side note, I think the lack of available information on stuttering is what makes it so difficult to come to your own educated conclusion about what stuttering is and how it pertains to you. Because the more information that comes out, the better I can then gauge how to maneuver around my own speech. But that's another story and another video. AIS is the place that taught me about acceptance and gave me the courage to be open to talk about my speech. You know, like, they're who got me where I am now, and where I am isn't perfect. I still stutter, and, you know, I still get stuck, and I still get that pit in my stomach when I have a block, but the pit is so much lighter and it's not all encompassing. It doesn't stifle me or like freeze me in my tracks with fear, which is, you know, more than I can ask for. Not living in a place of fear just to talk is the healthiest place that I can be right now. You know, and the truth is, I expect this to be a lifelong journey, which is why I'm trying to make it a useful one, right? Here are a few things that I noticed myself that I can now say I did that did not help me grow. So I disassociated myself from other people like me, not wanting to talk to people who stutter, not wanting to be around people who stuttered. That's the opposite of what was helpful. Refuse to talk about stuttering, like acting as if it did not exist. That's something that I do. I would not want to hold conversations about it, more so because I had no facts on it. I didn't know what to say. It was just this thing that I did that I couldn't control. I would choose to not talk out of fear. I came to the understanding that I stopped forming opinions because I knew I could never share them. And so my brain stopped working for a good long time because I knew that I wouldn't be able to share the opinions that I had, and that's not good, no bueno. I would talk down to myself when I stuttered, like, you're stupid, why? Everyone's gonna think you're dumb now, you can't get your words out, no one cares anymore, like all of that. I was self-deprecating. I would put myself down in front of people before other people could. All of this came from shame, you know, all of these things. It's horrible. But I'm definitely glad that I found a place that can help me learn to change. Going to NSA chapter meetings was very helpful too. Doing Stutter Social was incredibly helpful. Putting myself in a space with other people who stutter so that I can see that we really aren't just our stutter. I need to not grow out of my shame or to stay shameful. Thank you guys for watching. Of course, don't forget to, you know, subscribe, share, follow, come through, sign up, register, whatever it is you gotta do to make sure you get this next video that comes out. I love you guys. You know that, right? Stutter beautifully. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. And don't be shameful. Don't have shame. Throw that shit away. Ew. All right, bye. Oh.